Let's see how well it's connected here, Tata. Let's see if it's running. According mine end, I'm looking right now just to see if it's started yet on LinkedIn. If so, we can begin, but it doesn't say it is. It may take a sec. Meanwhile, how's your day going? Good?
Good, thank you. I had a really productive morning, recorded some
Good.
content. So over
Nice.
100, we've crossed 100 people downloading the product positioning workbook this weekend. So really good.
Very nice.
How are you?
Very nice. It looks like we are now live, Tata. So
Yay, okay. Hi, everyone. I don't know if there is anyone live watching. Would be cool if they are.
it's hard for me to tell looking through the system right now, but let me just give it just a couple seconds here and we will technically jump in. We'll give it a chance for everybody to load, but welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking out your time of the day to join us during this discussion. And it is a discussion. I want everybody to know that it's just not myself or Tata talking. While Tata's got some great insights, fantastic insights, it is open for questions. So if you have a question, it may take us a moment to get it, but we will answer as honestly as we can any question that you have. And Tata is the superstar here. So give her tough questions. See if you can trip her up and ask her the tough ones. All right. Well, let me just kick it off so we get going and we utilize our time wisely here. So my name is Scott. For those of you that don't know me, I've been in the people business for decades, and I have the opportunity to meet thousands of people every year. Exceptional talent is very rare, and I find that Tata is one of those rare finds. I'm excited to introduce Tata. She's a brilliant mind in product marketing, innovation, in many other avenues, as you'll see here today. I had a pleasure of working with Tata during my briefly at Picsart, but she's got sharp insights. She's authentic in her approach, and she made a huge impression on me. Tata is based in Zurich. She's a global trendsetter. She's got a background in business marketing and impact on social initiatives and just many other things. Like she's a superstar. So we're really lucky to have Tata here and share some insights on product positioning. So Tata, I want to welcome you and thank you very much for your insights and joining this discussion.
Hi, Scott, and hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It is a big pleasure. Always looked up to you and the industry experience you have. And now hearing you speak about me like that makes me feel really shy and thrilled. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And thank you, everyone, for joining. Or if you are going to watch the recording, then thank you for spending the time with us. I hope this is helpful and productive. If you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to write in the chat. We're going to monitor it and try to answer those questions. I think that we're going to run about 30 to 45 minutes, right, Scott? So
Correct.
We'll try to keep it brief as well. Yep. So it's not a very long session. And then you could have your mornings or evenings free for you.
Absolutely. Well, that's fantastic. So Tata, you and I didn't disclose that I was going to ask you this, but so if I embarrass you, just say, stop embarrassing me. Okay. That's fine. I hear that frequently, but you truly are an exceptional mind. Like you are young, smart, brilliant, just a well-rounded person. Were you born that way? So give us a little insight. What made you the Elon Musk of the product world here?
Oh, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, Elon. I'm not sure if I'm Elon Musk of a product world, but thank you. I think that upbringing, I don't know how I was born. It's hard to say because we all are born babies with, I guess, a lot of potential. And then the life takes us different avenues and we all grow differently and become different people. I think what impacted me as a human being is there's moving number of times. First time, my parents immigrated from Armenia to Russia. And then late in my life, when I was about 17, 18 years old, I went to live in Germany because I got a scholarship to study there. But ever since my childhood, I always felt like being part of few cultures. I started learning English when I was 4 years old. So for me, being this exposed to the world has been, I would say, one of the bigger it's one of the biggest impacts which was ever done to me and myself as a human being. I
Mhm.
had a world map in my bedroom when I was a kid, and I was learning the capitals of the world countries and dreaming that I'm going to visit them one day, which is super nice to know nowadays. I can and I do. And I was reading adventure books. Jules Verne, a French writer, his adventure books were one of my biggest um, treasure time, the ways I relaxed as a kid. So I guess that kind of a love for adventure and world exploration has been something which might, thanks to my parents, it was nurtured in me, and they were allowing me to explore a lot of things. And then it just shaped who I am. At least when I think about my childhood, that's one of the things which comes to my mind first.
Wow, that's interesting. So how many years did you spend in Germany actually?
I didn't spend even a year there. I was
Really?
there for just one, they call it Austausch semester, and you're
Okay.
Austausch student, which is an exchange semester.
Wow.
But then I used to go there quite frequently because I got friends. And it was first time I got international friends, in fact. And I had my American friends, Brazilian, Mexican, German, obviously. And it opens up your perspective a lot because you don't really see that diversity when you study in even in a really good uni in somewhere in Moscow. So that opened my mind a lot.
That is interesting. I always think that I used to think, being a naive American, okay, being in the people industry, that I knew the answers to people issues and the recruiting and hiring and people operations. That was until I started doing some heavy traveling. I had teams in Asia, and I realized then, like, here I am in the jungles of the Philippines, realizing I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I while it works in my geography,
Mhm.
what I know doesn't work elsewhere. Like, I have to adapt to cultures, and that's really, for me, where it all hit home, that I know nothing. And I don't think I'm as well traveled as you are. You speak, I barely speak English. You speak what, 3 dozen languages? How many languages do you speak?
No, no, no. I speak, well, I'd say fluently free, and I'm pretty good in German. So that would be four, and I'm learning Portuguese. So that would be the fifth language I hope to soon speak better. But for now, I can gossip with my mother-in-law, which I consider conversational.
That is fantastic. Well, I do think you're exceptional, Tata. Like, exceptional people learn, explore, put themselves out of their comfort zone. They get dig down. They make themselves uncomfortable and learn from that. And I think you're a constant learner. And I know you have um, what sparked this whole conversation is you are looking for folks to join a product enrollment. What is the class called? Product positioning? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I'm starting a product. I'm like it's the third cohort already, which is crazy to think about. I'm starting the third cohort of product positioning course in a couple of weeks.
Hmm.
And I am really excited for this one because it took me a lot of time. I don't want to count number of hours to video record the content, to have it pre-recorded, because that's what the students of previous cohorts asked for. But more excited what I am about is that this is the time when I'm able to connect with people who are also curious, who want to learn, who come from different industry backgrounds. Some of them are founders, some of them work in
Hmm.
corporations, but everyone wants to make the product or service which they have successful. And that's something which I am really, really, truly passionate about. You mentioned one thing, saying that when you started traveling, you realized that you don't know anything. That was me as well. First time working for an international brand back in 2012. I remember I was working from London office, and my boss was Mexican. He's a great guy. His name is Jesus. We are still in touch, and we meet every time we visit. Now he's back to London, so I'm able to see him again very frequently. And he told me that I would work on international brand repositioning, and I had markets in like Latin America, like Brazil and Argentina and Chile. And then in Europe, like Germany and Spain. And then I had also Turkey, I had Japan, and I had Korea. And I was really young, like 21 or 22 years old then. And I had a lot of thoughts that I know how the things work. Well, we were all young and we think that way. But on top of that, I guess I was not really imagining how something like a very global brand could be completely differently positioned in a new market just because of a cultural differences, because of how people perceive. So I think that was a wake up call to me that even if you have a global brand or you have a certain perspective, your perspective might not be the same as your target customers because of many things. And I think that it was a year when I learned this cultural differences matter a lot, but also matters listening to people. So what you said about, I don't know, like what I'm walking into, right? Having a team in Asia, for example, I share this so much. I completely understand. And the same goes not just to the team members, but also customers. I had no clue. I had no idea what shaped their perspective.
Yeah, it opens a different world. Like we walk into things thinking we have a mindset, we think we know what we're doing because we've done it for X amount of years. And that's what was my thinking. Like I had literally managed teams around the world. And then they were having issues in, as I mentioned, in Asia and other areas. And I thought I knew the answers and it just wasn't working. So I went there and sat on the ground and went, oh my goodness, I do not know what I'm talking about. Like I have no idea. You have to look at things from their perspective. So that brings us, let's jump into like, I think we could have hour-long conversations on learnings. And I think your learnings are extremely valuable, but your product insight, your product, the way you approach the whole system, some of the secrets that you have, the insights and the process. Let's walk through some of those. Give me, in your learnings, one of the teasers that I looked at was really, uncovering needs and wants. The testing, the kind of, the fail fast, fail often type approach. Give me your insight on the product side of things. Like let's jump into that. I think, the product positioning and the insights and what you bring on the product world, frankly, is new to me. I'm from the people side of things, but let's walk through that from your perspective.
Yeah, sure. So I guess that through experience, which I had over the last 15 years, I have learned that there are a few key components I'd say, which are essential for success. They don't mean that you're going to be successful with whatever product or service which you're promoting, but it would make your project really stand out. It has I would say that's like fundamentals of how you start. And there is a product positioning workbook which I've been sharing on LinkedIn, and if you're watching this, we'll attach a link to it as well. So there is this. I think I should be able to share a slide, right? Is that okay if I share?
Yeah, will it let you do that? Will allow you to do that?
Let me see if I am able to do that. I think I should be.
Yep, it looks like you're.
I am. Okay, great. So
I don't see the slide though itself. So hold on a second. Let me add it. There we go.
Okay, perfect. So this is a little easier when there is a visualization.
Yeah.
So there is 6 things which I always look at. Number 1 is, what is your why? And this is something which I didn't get until I started working at Nike, and I've realized how important it is to have a motivation of not just why you have started doing a specific business or you're launching a specific product. It could be the why of a like end result, like what you give to people while you do this project, like what is that end goal. And I have noticed that when you have a very clear idea, and it shouldn't be monetary idea, it shouldn't be just earning money, otherwise everyone is going to have that thing out there.
Mhm.
But what is that thing of why you do this? If that why is strong, it's gonna keep you going, and it's gonna go like let you go through the death valley of like most of the startups and projects of like
Mhm.
constantly failing on experimentation. And this why is also very often an unlock for understanding which kind of customers to target, or which specific values to put into your product. So I'd say that this is something which I got while I was at Nike, and after that I realized that I'm always going to be looking at the products which I'm passionate about, at the industries which I'm passionate about, and where I want to really drive some impact. And then the very simple question, but what does your product do? What is it? It sounds very simple, but very often when I ask this, it doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur, a founder, or you are a product marketer. Very often people start the very long explanation of what they do. And that is making it confusing for the end customer. And the goal of all of these exercises is actually to simplify and make it super, super simple. So what exactly do you do? And in case of what you do, Scott, like what is it, what you do? What is it, if you put it just in one sentence?
So boy, that's a great question. Depending on who we're talking to, the audience. So the why is based on the audience. So from an audience standpoint, from a company standpoint, we help companies grow or increase revenue with people. We find key people for certain organizations.
So are you then a recruitment agency?
Yeah, from a recruitment side, we do the recruitment and the consulting side, but we usually enter the door on the recruitment side, or the relationships come from the recruitment side.
Cool. So then the question which comes when you answer the why and the what it is also the market category you're in. So for example, if you're a consultant which helps to grow the business, then you're in the category of all possible growth consultants. So
Yep.
you would be
Yep.
competing with paid user acquisition agencies, SEO agencies, and whoever else. And then they are going to be comparing the service who your end customers with, be that this marketing effort, or like content effort, or people effort, etc. The moment when you put yourself in a recruitment category, which is another category as a market category, right, rather than growth consultants,
Mhm.
then your competitors are different, and you
Yep.
are competing with in-house recruiters, regular recruitment agencies, etc. So when a lot of times we go in the market, we don't realize, but we choose the wrong category to promote ourselves into.
Mhm.
So, for example, I remember very well how one of my clients was in the health tech space.
Hmm.
They were trying to promote themselves as a fertility clinic, but a virtual one. And when we understood that the categories seemed to be right, because what they were trying to do is help people with fertility issues, but the concept of what fertility clinic is and like where you go, etc., was so different. So they had to really think through and explain if it's a telehealth service or it's a fertility clinic, and go around these categories to see what is the better place for them to stand out and how the end customers understand it. And I usually say the market category is what people buy. And if someone comes to you, or you're building, let's say, what now is very popular, AI-driven product. So there are companies which say that we're building an AI-driven marketing software. So
Mhm.
what kind of software that is? Is it a CRM? Is it an email automation? What is it? That's what people buy.
Mhm.
The other thing is a trend.
Mhm.
AI is a trend, remote work is a trend. So don't mix those things up. That's another thing which I have learned, I think, working at a startup world, not so much in the corporate, but then because when you're in a corporate, the category is kind of defined. You sell shoes, you sell cans of Coke, or
Mhm.
you sell coffee. But when it comes to startups, it's a little unclear, because there are so many different things, services and different sort of software, that you don't like, the category thing becomes really blurred. And in the early stages, I think it's okay that it's blurred, but you gotta define to explain to people what they are gonna buy, and then layer on top of that the trend. And trend is something you gotta have because it's what is in the market now, what is really popular now. If you don't have that component, it's really hard to really sell in the competitive market. So you got to go there and explain how you're relevant today, how this new thing which is out there in the market adds on top in the category you're in. So I would say that's another highlight. But you could see that like throughout the course, and also in the product positioning workbook, which is completely free, you could just go through each of the steps and see little explanations and charts, examples of how to identify this right market category, how to find the trend which works for your business, how to understand the right words to put together to explain what your business does. So that's a little bit about it, as you asked.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Like I think, and you covered it, but I think it's critically important, and it relates on the people side of things, and it relates on the consulting side of things that I do. The why. Even when I simplify this and talk to screening candidates or interviewing candidates, it's the why. What is the motivator behind it? And as you may know, most companies don't know the why. Most candidates don't know the why. They skip over the why, and that's the motivator. That's the driving force of what we do. Like, why are you looking for a new job? Well, I need the paycheck. Let's boil that down. What do you need the paycheck for? Like, okay, I've got bills, or I have goals, or what are your goals? Like, you get down to the nitty gritty to find out really what the motivators are. And for me, knowing a candidate, it's to get to know them. Like, what is that? Like behind the resume, drop the resume. Let's talk about you. What drives you? What motivates you? And most people don't know. So you have to kind of walk them through that. And when I hit them with that, or even companies, they think they know. And that, I think we mentioned this the other day. So I want to kind of cover this because I think this is a thing that we all skip over. And I think it's critically important when you run into, let's say, a small company, like we all deal with small companies that think they know everything about what they do. But really in the end, when you look at them, okay, they're looking at things through very small glasses, and they're not looking at the 10,000 foot level. They're not looking at the whole big picture of things. How do you change a client? How do you sell a client? How do you dig in and get those real answers? Because in the end, my business is really paid on results. I get paid for the results, whether it be a recruiting result, whether it be a consulting arrangement. I get paid if I make the changes and make them lasting changes within an organization. And I'm sure yours is similar. How do you dig in and get them to answer the questions, but not feel like they're being grilled? How do you change their mindset, Tata? What's your secret on that side?
Okay, it's a good question. First and foremost, I try to work with the people who are already thinking that they're open to change, or they have something inside them they are like curious and they want to learn, etc. So if someone is completely off and they don't want any external advice, I don't think that it's the place for anyone external to come in and teach them how to do their business. It's their business at the end. So initially there should be a little bit of open-mindedness. It could be in a founder, it could be an executive team. It doesn't matter. It should be someone in the organization who is that open to change type of the person who initially had that kind of a request. But then you're right, it happens that you start working with someone and then you realize that there is quite a lot of a narrow thinking. And for me, I think we've discussed that previously with you on one of our calls, that there could be a lot of an ego play as well. And when you are coming into this, you don't want to try to teach someone how to do their business. And my position is I want to help you grow your business. So I would act here as a person who asks the questions, suggest some things, but then if they think that's their idea or they want to run it as their project, I'm completely fine with that as long as we get to the progress. So I try to make the environment run in a way like the organized environment in a way that they come up with those ideas. And my job is to ask the right questions, and my job is to provide the frameworks. Example would be, I worked with this really cool client. The company is called Rust.ai. They are AI video localization platform. If you guys ever want to look how you sound when you speak Japanese and see your lip syncs at the same time, that's super cool service. So we started working with them, and the things which I did, and then they mentioned in the feedback form that was actually super helpful, is put together a Miro board where I would have the main things we would need to go through, and then have their team of core members from the founder as well as the marketing director, product director, answer the questions of like where we're going, what we're trying to achieve, who is our target customers, and me being an external mediator and trying to like bring them all together makes it easier rather than them trying to resolve the issues together. And it's a perfect moment to show that there are some other avenues, bring out the examples, share them, some of the case studies with them, because that's, you open up the environment. It's not me coming and teaching, but it's kind of a way to show them in this more of a brainstorm / workshop session of what are the things. So I always try to start with this kind of a format when everyone is opening up and sharing their ideas, and we discuss up front that there is no bad idea, there is no bad opinion, we write down everything. But then throughout the discussion, they hear each other opinions, which are different, which they not always do before. And then on top of that, afterwards, it's easier for me to know, oh, this person said that, this person said the other thing. And then I can bring some case studies or show some examples or connect them with some people who have different perspectives. And I think that is empowering change in a positive way, rather than just coming and delivering the project as you think is the success, like the one successful way. I don't believe in that. I believe that it should be implemented with the team of the company, and then you could reach to that destination where whatever that destination is. How do you do that, Scott? How do you find the way around the small businesses?
Well, it's a tough one. Like change is tough, like on any level, whether it's small business, large business. Change is tough, and everybody's resistant to it. And I reflect back on the time that I worked for big companies, where a consultant would come in, or a consulting company would come in, and you just had to, because it was a big company, you had to follow the rules and just do things, and they would tell you what to do. Nobody wanted to do it, but you just did it. And when they left, you just did your thing again. Okay. Like it was like, when our parents would tell you what to do, you're resistant to it, like immediately resistant to it. So where I learned sincerely, similar to where I walked into, as I mentioned, Asia, and didn't know what I was doing. That taught me a big lesson, because I had to turn Asia around. Didn't know the culture, the language, anything there. And then China, like that's a whole different story. But when I walked in, it really taught me just to humble myself. Like, guys, I don't know anything about your situation. You're the experts here. All I can bring is experience I had from thousands of miles away, and just listen to them. And I found that just listening and being sincerely interested, and I always break this down to how to win friends and influence people. Like being sincerely interested, and I'm sincerely interested in understanding their issues and their problems. And then once you win them over that way, then you're a trusted advisor. Then the guidance you give to them and work with them is taken at heart, and they want to work with it. And then it becomes, I'm not looking for credit. Like I always, I think the problem exists where we're all looking for credit for our ideas, and we want to change, and we want to be the change. As consultants, we want them to change. Okay. And I'll take the mistakes. I'll own the mistakes, because it's my mistake. I didn't guide you well enough. Okay. And you own the change. Like, great job. I'm glad I was a part of your team. Like, let them own the success and you own the failures, but being sincerely interested in them, winning them over, and then it's a change, and then it's their ideas, and then helping them walking through those ideas. So that's where I've been able to make change. And it was because I've walked into places and said, this is how you guys got to do it. And it never works. Like you never win friends. you may change things around, but it'll never be lasting, and they'll never call you back. Like they hate you. They don't want you there. They're just dealing with you. So I think your approach is great, but it is tough. I know you mentioned Nike and you've had
Mhm.
success at Nike from a product positioning. And I think you shared this before. How did you dig in from an insight standpoint? Share your story, the shoe story at Nike, if you can, because I think it's very interesting. I think it kind of shows an example of how we kind of relate to our customers.
What you said about talking to the people and the team and right asking them, I think the same approach you could use talking to the customers and trying to understand what's happening there.
Mm.
So now when I got to Nike running business, that was the part of it. Nike's business is divided to different sport categories. That's how the business categories are defined, as the sport categories. So I had running and track and field, and the business was not really growing much. It was stagnating, and it wasn't too bad. Like you would get the revenue, but it wasn't like growing. And its situation in every market was different because runners and the running attitude is very, very different. If you go to Saudi Arabia, if you run on the street, you don't know what people are going to say or think. I don't even know if it's culturally appropriate there. Then you would go to New York and it's like a completely normal thing. There are so many people running, preparing for New York Marathon, running in the Central Park, etc. And then depending on the country where you're in, get to very different situations. And global brands have global guidelines and global strategies. So one of the things which we realized was that we had almost no female runners. There was a very small percentage of runners who were female, and we saw very little shoes sold for female runners. And we thought that would be a big opportunity. However, to grow that group, we needed to understand what we were doing wrong. And there is a whole case study, which I'm happy to share. You can watch it, explanations like slide by slide of what exactly we did. But there was a situation when we realized that one of the things people really wanted was not necessarily go to a run club and be around a lot of people, but they wanted to run very often on their own or start running on their own a little bit. And they didn't have always financial means to have a coach. So we were thinking, oh, we could use the Nike Run Club app and run audio guided runs. That would be such a cool experience that someone could run with a coach in their headphones and then start running slowly before they join any intimidating run club or like go to any event or God forbid run a race, because that was not something beginners think about, and especially women were not necessarily in general. I'm saying I'm sure that there are different kinds of people, but in general in sport, not so competitive. So what happened is that we pitched that to the headquarters and they said, no, we do events, we do physical run club events. And it was really sad because we thought that was a great idea. It was coming from the customer insights. But then I realized that we're going to spend a lot of time arguing with people about if we should digital activations or we shouldn't. And I had physical events budget. So what I decided to do is cut physical activations and put part of that budget into digital activation during the event. We built an MVP, which was a web-based running experience, which you could do with the headphones. And it was not super well done because you didn't have a smooth experience in the app, but MVP, a minimal viable product, is something you built like literally from like it could be a piece of paper and a pen, right? You don't really need to build a whole product out of it. So we went with a very cheap version, but we were shocked to see that even during the winter time, which is usually not a running season at all for people are sad and depressed and they want to sit at home and drink hot chocolate. There were hundreds of people for every Saturday and Sunday in the wait list. We had few thousand people in the wait list in total throughout that month to join these runs with audio experience.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, if this is not the proof of concept, I don't know what is. So we're putting a case study together. And the next day was then us figuring out how are we going to pitch this? Because if you come from the market perspective, let's say you are one specific country and that case, I was at Nike Russia. How am I going to pitch this to the headquarters in Oregon? Because they don't care. Like they have their own plans.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the European headquarters team, and very thankful to people from the team who came over with a market visit prior to World Cup. And we have translated the run for them to English, and they had that experience. And they were shocked. They have never run in -15 before, which they did. They didn't notice how 5 kilometers passed because there was an old experience entertaining you on the way. Well, I mean, nowadays, yes, but it was a few years ago. Back then, running with a podcast was not really a big thing yet. So
Right.
all of a sudden, this was like, oh, this actually works. So we put it together as a case study from EMEA region. They pitched that to the headquarters with our help preparing the materials and a pilot, which we have done, not asking for extra money because it was carved out of event budget. And that thing came a thing, and now audio guided runs already for a few years are part of Nike running experience. We launched that in the app. There were 3 markets which launched, which was UK, US, UK, and Russia, just because we were like one of the idea bringers, and it brought a lot of activity to the app. And it was so heartwarming to see people. Like, one thing is business results, which were amazing, but even putting that aside, when you go to an event and then you tell what you work on and you say, yeah, the audio guide runs in Nike Run Club app, or you say, I work for Nike, maybe Nike Run Club app, and people are like, oh, I run with your coach online. There is this podcast which I run with. And you are like, really? And you meet people like this all around you, and you realize your impact has been not on one person, not 2 people, not just internally in the company and not the business results. It's been thousands of people who have started running because of this, because they had the access to a virtual coach and they had this audio experience. And I think that experience taught me that the ego thing, which you mentioned, right? Just be humble. It doesn't have to be my idea. It could be joint idea if we get to the result. And also listen to your customer and find a way to make it work, even if you are in a large organization. So a bit of a story time. This is how it went there, and I'm really glad it did work out at the end.
It's a very interesting story. And it's not an unknown company. Like, it's digging. Like, there's a lot of lessons within that, Tata. Like, and we've gone all over the place here. Like, I think this isn't the course that you put on. This is not the course you put on.
Yeah.
This is just a rough discussion of things. Like, the document you put out, very interesting. Like, I think there's just so much value in their experience and the fact you're willing to share. And I've seen you in action in the corporate world, the startup world. And I just think very, very highly of you. Like, there's a lot. I think you are an exceptional talent. I don't want to go on forever. Like, I don't want to give away all of your secrets during this discussion. I think there's a lot of things that I've made note of that I think we could talk about in future discussions. But you talked about, like, that story related to me on kind of digging in, exploring outside of the box, getting to know your audience. We could even cover the messaging in there, but give me the summary, give me an idea of secrets to all this. Like, what are Tata's secrets in product positioning, or give me your secrets. Let's just share a couple secrets without giving them all. Like,
Okay.
It's going to be worth the price of admission, but what are your secrets, Tata's secrets?
Tata's secrets. I don't know if it's my secrets, but one of the things which I always do, like always, no matter which company I work with, there is a thing which I started doing when I was at Nike, is consumer breakfast. Or coffees, we call it, runs, any discussion with your end customers, not via video screen. I mean, if it was COVID, obviously there was no other choice, but I try to meet with people in person and discuss. It could be current customers, could be prospects, but just every couple of weeks, take yourself out there and talk to the people who are end customers of your product, just for a casual coffee. Don't try to sell them anything. Don't try to like promote any product. Really don't. Just try to understand how they live, what they care about, what's happening in their life, in their profession, in their business. It is shocking how amazing this experience becomes, because you really get to know these people very well. And then you understand, after a few weeks, you start to understand some of their motivation, some of the things they like or dislike, what's their customer journey. It's not just a slide you put for the deck for investors or wherever else. So I would say secret number one, or the biggest one I could give away, is this in-person meetings with people. And if you're flying in the airplane, I'm boarding one tomorrow. And if I got a neighbor who is willing to talk, I would always talk. And very funny, but very often, I don't know if it's my luck, but I meet people who are either in a tech space, or they are working on some interesting consumer products, or they're developing a software. And I get to meet these people and have 1 hour of their time, sometimes 2 hours of their time during the flight, and get to listen to them and listen to their perspectives. I think that's like one of the biggest things which I try to do, no matter where I work, which company I am in. And I strongly advise anyone I work with, is like, I ask the founders, when was the last time you took your client for a coffee? When was the last time, not you asked your customer support team to handle the ticket, but you picked up the phone and called your customer? And most times it's a while ago, especially as business grows. So I think that's called field marketing. I send everyone to the fields. I tell them, go talk. So that's number one secret.
I like that secret. Like, I am old school. I believe in calling people and showing up. But I often don't schedule like luncheons and things like that, because where I am in my schedule, it is all over the place. But what I do, here's what I do different than other people. I just stop in. Like, if I'm in a neighborhood, I'll literally stop in and knock on their door, or, hey, I'm in front of your office. And it just shocks the daylights out of people. They can't say no. Um, and it's, hey, I'm just stopping by to say hi. Like, I'm in the neighborhood, and that's it. Like, there's no commitment. I don't want anything from you, because oftentimes when we schedule lunches, people are on, what do you want from me? I don't want anything. I just want to get to know you and spend whatever, 5 minutes, 20 minutes with you, whatever that is. And you must have better luck than I do on airplanes, because I'm gun shy to talking to people. You get stuck on an airplane for an hour, couple hours, and I get stuck to the wrong person. Like, so I think I need to learn from you. I tend to put my earpiece in and ignore the person next to me, because once you get stuck in a bad conversation and can never get out, or I'm just sitting in the wrong place. Maybe I'm sitting in the back of the airplane with the bad people or something. I don't know. But your tips.
I don't know, but it always works. I'm really curious to see who I'm going to meet tomorrow. Okay, not always, not 100 out of 100 times, right? But like,
Yep.
I would say 80-90% is usually pretty good. And I would give away maybe the second secret is, I try to spend the time on the things which really matter to the end customer. Because there are things which are politics, there are things which are admin. I try to, as much as I can, it depends on which organization I was part of. Somewhere it was less successful, somewhere it was more. I try not to get into those things and focus on the end customer, and focus on building or developing something which is going to really matter for the end customer. Whenever it comes, like the role grew into becoming more political, I left, because I just feel that's not what I'm really good at. Like, I can do politics, but I don't find joy in that. I really like to be close to the people. So I would say my second secret is just do what you like to do. I mean, if politics is something you like, by all means. Maybe there are some people who are really good into pushing the projects inside, etc. What I prefer to do is always focus on the end customer and be the voice of that end customer. So I'm not going to prove if a founder is right or wrong, or someone else is right or wrong. No, I would always try to be neutral in that sense, and then bring the customer inside and tell them, this is what actually the people or the companies, the clients, the prospects say, and these are the things which they want. And I find it really good for the discussion, because then it becomes factual based rather than opinion based. And that's my, I would say, second second tip or second secret to building good products is really trying to remove your opinion and take this customer opinion and be the advocate of that, and don't get involved in politics.
It's a good point. Like, and I'm in the US and we're in the political system right now, and it's the big ugly mess right now. So politics is a bad word. While I have my political opinions, corporate wise and otherwise, I don't share them because nobody cares, first of all. And I'm only going to make enemies, and I could be wrong on my opinion. But I think your secret is a good one. On the other hand, my secret to that is I share the vision. I'm a visual person. So I want to share the end vision, and I want them to dream the way I dream and what that end vision looks like. Here's the end result, and here's how I envision this. And get them to see that or put that picture in their head. So we're always looking at that same end goal, and avoid all the other murky garbage in between. But I think you're right. Avoid politics. Like, you're never going to win that game. Avoid the bureaucracy. It's not fun. It's a dirty business, inside or outside companies. It's just no fun. Well, I've enjoyed the time here, and I don't want to keep going on. I think people have a lot of things to do. I didn't see any comments, but it could be a technical issue on my end. But I'm sure people have a lot of questions. What I can do is put the link for your course, or if you want to post the link on LinkedIn, and I'll include it in the after workings here. Okay.
Sure.
If you can include that where they can join your coursework, or if they have questions for you, and if somebody wants follow-up, we can do a follow-up. But I think, Tata, you've got a lot of great insights. You bring a lot of great experience. And I still think, even though you've shared the stories and nothing bad, I still think very highly of you. And
Thank
I
you
know
so much.
and it's kind of like what you shared on about the airplane. The more you get to know people, the more you'll like them. And you're one of those likable people that bring a lot of value to the table. So I hope others see that. Love to help you in any way I can, but hopefully you've been able to share a few points here that people have got some value out of. And let's continue the discussion. Safe travels as you go to your next destination, and bother people on the airplane. But is there anything else you want to share before we end the stream here?
I just want to say thank you for the time. It was great to have this conversation. I hope there were some inspiring, funny, or helpful stories for everyone. If you have any questions, you could also just simply DM me on LinkedIn. I'm always open to have a chat. And if you have any situation where you think you would want to tweak the way you position whatever you do, also feel free to DM me. I love to learn what you guys do. And have a good evening or a good day, everyone, wherever you are in this world.
Absolutely. Well, on that, everybody have a great day. Cheers, and we will talk soon.
Bye.